what we can do to make our customer experience better in the point of sales. If the answer of this is identifying the customer, because then we can get him a better treatment, then that's the way forward.
One trend I've seen in the last years is organizations developing digital inside out. Right? How do you then ensure that me as a customer, I'm getting the same experience when I walk into a Bata store and when I walk into, but interact with any of the digital channels?
We always make sure that once we have one order, we are able to deliver this order from a close by store, which means that we can reduce the shipping costs and also creating a better customer experience because we reach customer faster.
Personalization doesn't have to be about, where I'm living and knowing the date of my birth and so on and so forth, but about saying, let me make your experience smoother, easier, faster.
Once we realize that there is one customer that is buying the size 40 every time she goes to one of the stores, it's making sure that the products that they show on the product listing page have the 40 size available.
The Bata Group has the unique position of being a household name in tons of countries for several decades now. How do you digitize a business of that scale? How do you successfully roll out technologies across all those countries while maintaining local specifications? And most importantly, how do you make sure that a customer sitting in Bogota and a customer in Bombay feel the same level of connection that they felt with Bata for generations? Today, I have the pleasure of going into all of these topics and more with Roger Sole, the Chief Digital Officer of the Bata Group. Stay tuned. You're going to like this one. Good morning, Roger, and welcome to the Retail Spotlight. I'm quite excited for this episode because I grew up with Bata as a household name. I have a story about that I'll get into a bit later. But what I think is particularly unique about the brand and the business is that you have managed to pull off something very special in remaining a family-owned business, but still becoming a household name in more than 80 countries. And we've been following how in recent years that's been tied to a pretty strong transformation in the digital direction. So I'm intrigued to learn more about what's happening, what's planned, and how you're managing to do all of this while still keeping that local and familiar feeling and keeping the customer at the center of the experience. But before we dive into all of that, it would be very great, Roger, if you could introduce yourself, tell us and our audience a bit more about your journey from being a mathematician to becoming the Chief Digital Officer at Bata.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here today. I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with your audience about our insights about the digital transformation and the journey that we are moving on. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Bata Group, where we try really to build digital capabilities for the Bata around the world, making sure that we build the operational, but also the digital assets that are able that allow us to interact and to engage with our customers on an omni-channel approach. Really making sure that we build the capabilities there, both from operational but also from a digital product point of view. But then allow our customers to interact with us. Within stores, within this digital ecosystem that we created, really making sure that we enhance the customer experience as a whole. I was lucky to start my career on the digital space, starting with some D2C companies, catalog companies called La Redoute, almost 20 years ago. Then I moved to online travel agencies, where I also was able to deep dive a bit on how to build, CRM, and also how to attract customers and to interact with customers from the distance, and then I joined at Mango, which is also a big international fashion retailer, where I did the e-commerce business for 12 years before joining Bata almost 2 years ago to really accelerate their digital transformation. And I'm very excited. As you highlighted, Bata is a company with a long heritage. It's a brand. It's really highly appreciated for our customers in almost every market where we operate. So that's why, we have a really strong connection with the communities that we serve and the communities where we operate. And really, we take this very seriously. On one side, we really make sure that our business is performing in every single region, really having a deep understanding of the local customers. And then we complement that also with really taking care of the people that works with us in all of these regions, that we can really build a strong collaboration with the regions and the countries where we operate.
Very exciting. And you mentioned how digital plays a big role in making that possible. So maybe we can get a bit of a view into what you see as the role of digital in continuing to maintain that flavor, that unique flavor of Bata's experience, um, from a broader strategic perspective, but then also maybe go a bit deeper into what initiatives, with some examples that can really help us connect that strategy to what's actually happening on the ground.
Yeah, for me, to be honest, I always try to avoid talking about digital and talking more about our customers. No, I do
Mm.
believe that it's a fact that our customers right now are interacting in the physical stores, but they also spend a couple of hours per day on their mobile devices, on their computers. No, so it's a fact that the life of our customer is happening both in the physical but in the digital world. And then
Right.
then what it means is that as a company, we really need also to make this transformation and really start being present both in the physical space where we historically have been, but also in the digital space on a very similar approach and on a very consistent way. No, and this is really what I think is the main mission of us as the as digital officers. We really need to make sure that we translate all our brand heritage and our brand, value proposition into the digital space in the similar way that we do in the physical ones. No, really making sure that we are consistent on the product, on the assortment, on the pricing of our products, and also being also very consistent on the on what we communicate in every single point of sale. It doesn't matter if it's offline or online. And then finally, making the last piece, which is also so then as chief digital officers, we need to build these digital assets to make sure that the interaction is happening on an engaging way with our customers.
Mhm.
And then to complement that, we also need to make sure that from an operational point of view, we really take advantage of everything we have, both online and offline, to make sure that this operational integration is also happening, no? Allowing our customers to buy from us across both online and offline, integrating the stock availability, making sure that we accept returns in the physical stores of product both online and vice versa, no? Really making sure that we take advantage of our omni-channel presence to create best in class customer experiences.
Very exciting. So I heard a lot of the things that many brands are starting to do now. Bopis, Boris, ensuring that assortment, pricing, inventory is synchronized across online and offline channels. Um, one trend I've seen in the last years is organizations developing digital inside out. Right, so you're starting with getting the supply chain sorted, then the channels sorted, and then eventually one reaches the experience part. So what I'm curious to understand is, in all of this, say, you've gotten to a point, and love to know more about where you are in that journey from the operational side as well. And then coming to the experiential part, how do you then ensure that me as a customer, I'm getting the same experience when I walk into a Bata store and when I walk into but interact with any of the digital channels? What digital elements in the physical domain have you been working on to make that possible?
So I think on our case, well, we started this journey a while ago, but I think we did something pretty well done, which is that we really built our product integration. We really make it happen. No, for us, we had this vision of making sure that all the stock that we own, it's available for our customers. It doesn't matter where they interact from. No, so then we built our digital assets based on this principle. So almost in every single country where we operate, we have all the stock available in the country, available for customers. No, they can buy online, and we can ship from every single store. And this is really, I would say, it's pretty. I would not say it's unique because there is many brands that are doing it, but we do it on a very smart way. We always make sure that where once we have one order, we are able to deliver this order from a close by store, which means that we can reduce the shipping costs and also creating a better customer experience because we reach customer faster.
Mhm.
But we do that on a smart way, also making sure that we don't let the store without the stock that they need to serve their customers in the physical store. No, so we have some smart rules to allow or don't allow this product to be available for customers. So we built this operational ecosystem, I will say, on a pretty unique way, and this is really helping us to scale our business further on the
Mhm.
digital space. No, yeah, that's and then on top of this, I will say that I do believe that the digital it's a journey. So there is always areas of improvement. We always say that everything that we can measure, we can improve, and in the digital, we can measure almost everything. No, so everything can be improved. So that's why the mentality we also have in the digital business here at Bata is that we need to be every day a bit better than yesterday and worse than tomorrow. No, and that's really the way we look at the digital journey, trying to really measure, test, and really constantly bringing innovation and improvement to our customers.
That's really cool. Especially like the idea of this sort of smart inventory thing, right? Where you say, I don't know, I'm guessing here, but if the store hits below 10 units, you take that off the online store for that moment so that the store still has volume when the customer arrives there.
Yeah, to be honest, that can be different rules depending also of the momentum of the product, the life cycle of the product. So, for example, when there is a new product entering into the store, you can have different rules versus when that product has been there for a while. No, but
Mhm.
yeah, this is also a lot of algorithms, and then and here probably the future the use of artificial intelligence can also make further improvements on that logic and behind. But really, I think that it's really people, when people are asking me, oh, what do you think the e-commerce will which area we will, the e-commerce and the digital business will keep evolving, I will say that on this smart assortment, I think there is a huge opportunity to improve for us and for everybody. No, I think there is really still things to come. We always know about this, let's say, predictive models that we are able to predict the demand in every one specific region, so that we can really allocate the stock in advance, close by your customers to get a better and cheaper delivery cost. So really, I think that on the area of supply and delivery and operations of the D2C, there is really a lot of things to do in the short future.
This is actually one of the things we kind of briefly touched upon was this challenge that we've seen again across brands and retailers where predicting demand is very, very complicated. Of course, the number of data streams you can use to do that and the computing power and the algorithms have gotten better and better over the years. There's no doubt about that. And now, with the advent of artificial intelligence, one could only imagine that that's going to get better. But often, a missing piece of that puzzle is who's behind that demand, right? At the end of the day, the demand is an aggregate of those 15, 20, 100,000 customers that are visiting that specific store at a given point of time. And so I'd love to understand more about, if we come now to the store and away from the e-commerce for a second, what initiatives you're working on or sort of have in the roadmap or would like to even work on but aren't yet there, to get more insight into those in-store customers. And since you spoke about how digital is all about measuring, how do you bring that mathematical measuring sort of mindset then into the physical world that has historically been very analog?
Yeah, of course. I think you pointed it well. I mean, identifying the customer in the point of sale, it's one of the big challenge that all it's a fact historically. When you was going into a physical store 20 or 30 years ago, it was really hard to identify this customer, except in selected retailers. But it's a fact that many retailers were built based on product and point of sales. No, so the variable of customer was not part of their day-to-day operations. But it's true also that with the rise of digitalization, this started to change a couple of years ago. And then and of course, probably the first, let's say, step to make this customer identification happening is the loyalty program itself. No, however, what I would like to highlight is that sometimes we always think about how we can identify the customer in the point of sale, which is fair. It's a good question, no? But I always try to always put the customer at the center of everything we do, no? So
Mhm.
I always think about, okay, how I can enhance the customer experience, and if identifying this customer in the point of sale, it really brings value to the customer, that's a good thing to do, no? But not only because we want to understand the customer that we need to do things. For me, the starting point is, okay, what we can do to make our customer experience better in the point of sales. If the answer of this it's identifying the customer, because then we can get him a better treatment, then that's the way forward, no? um, yeah, and yes, so then, as I was saying, many retailers started to develop the loyalty programs, including us. We have, in our case, large loyalty programs across almost every single country where we operate. Um, and then with this, of course, that's a good tool to start identify the customer. On top of this, we have digital receipts, which is also a reality out there, where we can, it can help you to identify the customer, and at the same time, again, creating some value for the customer, because you don't spend paper. The customer can keep a record of their purchases. So I think, for example, digital receipt, it's a good way of creating value for customer, and also for the company, that it allows us to understand who is our customers, no? And then, of course, but again, identifying the customer is just the starting point, no? By sure that the next steps, it's okay, now that you start to collect data from your customer, how you can make value, generate value for your company and for your customers based on this data, no? And this is for me also the second part, and probably the most important one, of understanding how you can transform data into valuable insights for your organization.
Absolutely. And I think one thing you touched upon, that also I think will start to change quite dramatically in the coming years. In Europe, I guess, driven by legislation with GDPR, but in other geographies, just driven by user frustration or customer frustration, is this notion of, and again, this is not something you would see often in Europe, but if you go to other geographies in Asia, especially, there's been a shift in the last years where you're almost expected to share some sort of PII data, personally identifiable information, at the POS. Where you'll just be asked automatically for your phone number at checkout. And we see this in Latin America, we see this in Asia. And while customers have accepted that as just something they need to do, what's happening on the flip side is these customers are also en masse just blocking communications from the brands, right? So at the end of the day, yeah, I probably have the best database of phone numbers of all my customers who've come into my store. But am I actually giving them any value, or am I just forcing them down a funnel to make my KPIs look good? And so I think the notion of questioning really is identifying the end goal, or how can I be providing value to my customers at the point of sale, once they leave the store, online, wherever they are interacting with my brand, is a very valid question to be asking. And I think also there, again, funnily enough, technology creates problems, but also then solves problems. I think the solution to that probably is in finding ways to then understand what the customer needs without making identifying them the main sort of focus of it, in order to still serve them, right? Um, I'm segueing a bit into my own experience with Bata with this, because growing up, so I spent my childhood in India, and Bata is a huge local name there, to the extent that until I moved to Europe as a teenager, I strongly believed that Bata was an Indian brand. And I was very surprised when I was traveling around Europe to then discover that it's actually not an Indian brand. And this experience has been repeated by a lot of people from outside Europe who, in their home countries, also experience Bata as a local brand. And one of the things that was unique about that experience always was that the staff was incredibly well aware of the customers, right? Where, I'd go in, and I remember my school shoes, there were these black leather shoes. I'd go buy them every year as my feet grew, and it was the same person in the store. He knew me, he was able to serve me really well, and just created a very nice experience. um as you grow globally, as you grow across 80 plus countries, I guess getting that same personal experience is going to be obviously challenging, because finding those people, creating that quality in store, training, behavior, mindset. I don't think that world exists today anymore, as easily at least as it did maybe 20 years ago. But I'm still curious to understand how, outside of consolidating technological platforms, you've been able to give that experience across all these countries and globally roll that out in such a consistent way. And where do you see still challenges in doing that?
I'm glad to hear about these histories, no? And because, to be honest, for us as Bata, being relevant locally is one of our main goals, no? I think that yeah, to be successful, you need to be relevant in the local market where you operate. And, and this feeling that you had in India, luckily, it's really also happening in other geographies, no? It happened in Chile, it happened in Peru, it happened in Italy, it happened really in Thailand, in Indonesia. Really, there is a lot of countries where people feel that Bata it's a local brand, because I always say the same. In fact, we're almost a local brand because we have this in these markets for 70, 80 or more, or almost 100 years in some of the markets, no? So really, yeah, we are there. We have been growing up with many generations of local Indians, local Chilean people, local Peruvians, local Italians, local Czech people. So really, we have been there for long, and we are proud of that, no? And then also the way we have of operating, where we really try to get a deep understanding of the customers in every single market where we operate, really allow us to have this also local understanding of every single customer that or many customers that goes into our physical stores, no? And really, for us, understanding the customer and really building this relationship, it's important, because that's also a way of creating the engagement with the brand and with the business, no? And of course, we take this this approach that has been out there for for 100 years, more than 100 years. We take that also in the digital space, no?
Mhm.
One of my goals as chief digital officer also is that once we collect all this information about our customers, we are able to really build journeys and build customer experiences that really are I don't like to call it personalized, because sometimes they are not personal, but really I will say remember, a customer experience that customer remembers, no?
Mhm.
And that really creates value. And I can give you a couple of examples, no? For example, if we have in certain country a strong loyalty program, once we realize that there is one customer that is buying the size 40 every time she goes to one of our stores, then when we identify that this same customer is going through our bata.com site, we can pre-filter the products, making sure that the products that they show on the product listing page have the 40 size available, no? Because, and this is, let's say, a smart way of enhancing the customer experience, because otherwise customer can get frustrated if the products that we show are not available on the size that we know she's wearing, no?
Mhm.
That's, let's say, maybe one example of how understanding the data can really generate value for us as a company and for the customers, enhancing the customer experience. Another experience that we always apply, for example, is that when someone is buying in the physical stores, for men, for women, but also for kids, we can identify this customer as a customer that have kids at home. And if we deep dive a bit, we can also understand by the size of the shoes which are the age of the kids. And then when they jump into the or on digital assets, we can really make sure that the content that this person see in the landing page or across the navigation, it's also showing these products that are aligned with their needs that we have previously identified. So this is just maybe two, let's say, simple examples of how we can
Mhm.
leverage data into building value for our customers during the navigation through our digital assets, no? I always say that in digital sometimes it's easier to execute than in the physical world, where we always have the other constraints, but really we need to make this opportunity of creating memorable experiences both online and offline.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think also the idea of saying personalization doesn't have to be about, where I'm living and knowing the date of my birth and so on and so forth, but about saying, let me make your experience smoother, easier, faster. At the end of the day, I don't need to, scroll through 300 pairs of shoes which aren't my size, but go quicker to what outcome I want, and create that customer delight. Um, One thing I'm curious about is, how do you connect those online and offline journeys right now? Because if you said that I'm going into the store, I'm buying a 40 shoe often, and then I go to the website and I buy a 40 shoe there again. How do you connect those two together at the moment?
Well, to be honest, there is different journeys. Some of them are under development, some of them are already out there. But really, we try to collect the data. We have, let's say, a single customer view
Hmm.
that we can use across channels. And really, I would say that the work we do and the challenge we have is to make sure that we make clear user cases that we can apply across the different point of sales. No, that's really the way we do. But really, the starting point is to make sure that we have a consolidated view of the customer, online and offline, all together. And then once we have this information well built, then we are able to execute user cases that then we can define if we can do that online or we do that offline, depending of every single customer.
And if you think of the in-store itself, what digital initiatives have been successful in the stores for Bata? I know the loyalty program is one thing, and I definitely want to deep dive a bit more on that. But beyond loyalty, could you share some stories about things that have worked, maybe even in specific geographies, maybe across the board, when it comes to in-store digitization?
Well, I think that one of the most beautiful integrations we have is the stock integration project.
Mhm.
Know that in every, as you know, selling shoes, it's always challenging to the distribution of sizes. It's always challenging, especially in our case where we have large collection in every country. So now we built a solution for the physical stores, where in case that one size it's available, one color it's not available in the store, we are
Mhm.
able to supply to the customer house, or shipping it to the point of sale on a very omni-channel integration, on a stock integration view. And we offered it free of cost for our customers, almost as a service.
Mhm.
And I think this is really bringing a lot of value for both Bata organization, but also for our customers, because after trying several shoes, they fell in love with one pair, and it might happen that the size they are looking for is not available. So we are able to supply this through our let's say D2C operational capabilities, and we deliver this product to the customer house. So then it makes our customers super happy, and it's good for Bata, because we capture, let's say, this we don't miss this opportunity to make a transaction. No, so I think this is something that we are very proud of, because we built this. This is now available in almost every single Bata country. To be honest, there is one or two that are still missing. Hopefully, we will roll out next year. But so in almost every country, we bring, we have this stock integration capability, digital asset available in the physical stores. No, and then our customers are loving it, and our staff are loving it more, because it helps them to capture sales that otherwise there is a risk of they will be missing it.
No, that's a great one. I can't count the number of times I found something I really liked, not found my size, and ended up buying something completely different,
Yeah,
not just in shoes, but across the board.
yeah.
Do you think part of this is easier for Bata, given the family-owned structure and the fact that both D2C and the stores are owned and operated by the same business? I would just love to understand a bit more on that angle, because we do hear from a lot of brands and retailers that because they have a franchise model in some places, because they have stores that are not self-operated, this creates some friction on achieving true omni-channel as you're describing it.
I think that there is solutions for everything. By sure, having a clear ownership of the organization helps this to make it happen. I do agree, but I also believe that there is also ways of you know of doing it with the different structures and with different models. No, but yeah, I definitely think that the big difference is that we are a company that we always look at for the long term. Customer value and organization profit for the long term. So it means that we are also pushing very hard to make these projects happening. Maybe in the very, very short term will not give it a specific benefit, but if it's good for customers, will be good for us.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage. I can imagine we're not living from quarter to quarter to be able to really push those longer term initiatives. Could you give us a sneak preview into some other things that are in the pipeline? Uh, you know, Not sure how many of these would apply: self checkout, automated checkouts, smart mirrors, smart displays. What can we expect to see in the Bata store of the future when it comes to digital tech?
The starting point is always understanding which are the customer pain points, no, and how we
Mhm.
make how we can make their life easier, no, and then based on this principle, we try to find the right technical or development capabilities to solve it, no. But for us, the starting point, it's always about the customer, it's all about the pain point, and then based on this, we try to understand if there is a technology out there that help us to solve this problem, no. I
Mhm.
never think the other way around, and I think magic mirrors and stuff like this. Sometimes we see a lot of technology, but some of this technology, it's not really solving a customer problem, or it's not really adding a specific value to the customers, and then this hardware remains in the store, uh, in a corner, because nobody's using it, no. So for us, it's about understanding which is the customer pain points, and then which is the technology that can help us to make it to evolve better. By sure that we have now we are working on different initiatives related to the use of artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
For example, on the digital assets, we already make the full translations into different languages fully automated. The product descriptions are also are going to be created fully automated also across across the globe. So there is really certain initiatives that are out there. And then we need to see how we keep this journey evolving indeed.
That one is a particularly interesting one. I definitely had AI on my list of topics I wanted to talk to you more about. When I think of ecom, the use cases we're seeing popping up quite a bit are the ones you already described: product descriptions, translation of content, analysis of sentiment from reviews and feedback, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
What other potential do you see, opportunities where you think it could be, maybe not today given the state of tech, but maybe in 5 years, an interesting thing to solve? Things that you would like to have solutions for but you're not seeing them yet. Would love to hear more about those topics.
Well, I think that there is two big areas that you didn't mention that are for me super important. One is the customer service. We have seen, the adoption of chatbot across different geographies. I think, the use of artificial intelligence for customer service, it's a really a win-win business case, because it helps our customers to get the answers for questions they might have, and it also help us to reduce, to provide a better customer experience, reducing the cost of customer service. Now, I think this is definitely an area of further development. Probably the other area which I think will become also relevant in the future, it's the area of distribution. No,
Mhm.
on so the replenishment of stores, I think that we can probably do better, and I think there is a lot of initiatives out there with the use of automated, artificial intelligence and advanced algorithms to improve that journeys. No, and I think there is some initiatives. So I think that probably, if it's just to keep some focus, I would say these two areas are the ones that I think will see results in the very short term.
Very exciting. And jumping back a bit, because I think what we see again and again is AI, any of these data driven things, as you also mentioned, are only useful based on what data you have in there, what understanding you have in there. And so to this end, we spoke a bit about the loyalty program that you're running at the moment. Uh, from my understanding, it might be even one of the oldest ones within the footwear space. There's just not that many out there with such a program. But you also mentioned that it's something that works differently in different countries a bit at the moment. Maybe you can highlight a bit more about the program, where you see that going, what challenges, and how that plays into also the aspects of omni-channel that you've been mentioning, right? Where do I maybe have more benefits around how I can order things, how quickly I can get to certain information, what kind of service I would get. Where is it today? Where would you like it to be? Would love to hear more about that.
We have been putting in the center of of what we do for many years, almost from the beginning of the company. It's to make sure that we put our customer at the center of our decisions, no? And of course, that the loyalty program, it's a way of collecting these customer insights on a very direct way. That's why I see it as a very valuable asset, no?
Hmm.
Then the benefits or the or that you give in exchange can be very different ways. You can, you know, and this is something that it's evolving. But also, it's very different within the different markets where we operate, because the maturity of the loyalty programs are different elsewhere. No, what I think it's important for us is that. Yeah, we launched the loyalty programs many years ago. Every country was developing, let's say, their own mechanics. And but what I think from a global point of view, what we are really stand for is that we really want to understand our customers well in every single market, no? And then as we consolidate this customer view on a central way, we were probably able to also execute more efficiently in the future, no? But for us, really, it doesn't matter if the which are the conditions, or if the loyalty program is executed globally or locally. What really matters is that we all share, in every single country where we operate, we share the same vision, that we want to understand our customers, to take the decisions to make their life easier, no? And that's really the way we use the loyalty program as a leveler to make it happen, trying
Hmm.
to, to collect this customer information that then we can activate with clear action plans, collecting, and really use this as a source of insights and inspiration to make sure that we moved into the right direction and we make the right decisions.
How big is the program today in terms of
No,
user base?
it's large. We are counting on millions of customers across tens of millions of customers across the different countries. So it's a, highly appreciated program. In certain countries, also the percentage of contribution of the loyalty program it's very relevant. So yeah, the loyalty program, it's very healthy. It's growing, significantly year on year. Yeah, and the program, it's really performing well. Then, of course, we need to understand how we also make use of all this information to,
Hmm.
to personalize, to create a, memorable customer experience across the different channels.
Makes a lot of sense. And since we've touched a bit upon this, what is the technology stack enabling a lot of these things look like today?
On the Bata.com site, we have a centralized platform. Yeah, that we, to be honest, we at the beginning, when we in order to accelerate the go-to market during the COVID times, we launched local sites with local developments. Now that we are a bit more mature and the volumes it starts to grow, we have created a digital development hub based out of Italy, and then we have this development hub that it's centralizing the digital product development. We are now rolling out a global platform, because that's also the way of, let's say, creating a more efficiently a best in class digital platform, that we can really create good digital experiences on the navigation, on the customer experience, on the conversion rate optimization, on the redesign of the platform. So we have now a digital hub. All countries are going to be using this global platform on the D2C site. And that's really the way forward, because so at the end, for us, it's a matter of organization. We build, so we create a layer of digital development that it's global, and then
Hmm.
we keep the customer experience local and regional management. So that way we can get the benefit of really developing digital product efficiently and really with best in class technology. But we also keep the local customer experience best in class, because we are able to operate locally in almost every country where we operate. And this, I think, this organization where the digital product is global, but the customer experience remains at the local or region, country or region level, it's really the way forward, no? Because I do believe also that to be successful locally, you really need to operate best in class locally. No, you cannot really win if you are not relevant locally. So we maintain the local customer experience while the digital assets are leveraged at a global level.
Very interesting. And I think this also answers the question of, how do you in a digital world keep that local flavor and experience, and, the operating model behind the scenes that's making that possible. So that's quite an exciting insight, because I think what we've seen again when it comes to digital transformation often is, because of scale, because of the ease of which you could roll out a program across places, many times brands will try a one size fits all approach, which doesn't end up delivering then in specific markets with their own local eccentricities in terms of how customers interact, how they expect to be treated. And as you said, if you're putting the customer at the center of it, starting with what that experience needs to be and working backwards from there, seems to be the best way for a multinational player like Bata to do it. So that's really, yeah, that's a really valuable insight to take away from this. I want to come back a bit more to the person, from the strategy and the agenda, as we also head towards the end of the podcast. Before we jump into our famous rapid fire section, I wanted to ask you one question. What part of your travel experience that you had when you were at Last Minute, the retail obviously makes a lot of sense. I can see the connected dots, it's super obvious. But I think the most interesting stories are when you think about the cross linking, right? So what part of what you were doing at Last Minute and in the travel world were you able to leverage most effectively in your role at Bata so far?
Yeah, probably I will say there is many learnings that I got from my experience in the online travel agency lastminute.com. One of them, of course, is the customer acquisition. No, on an online travel agency, the amount of money you spend on online acquisition, it's very relevant because it's a very competitive market. So then understand, and also the margins were super low. What it
Mm-hmm.
means that the excellence in execution becomes critical to make the business successful. And I think I also I take this learning across all my career. I also believe that in digital execution it's everything, no? So the great ideas are not useless if you don't execute it well. I always use the example of Airbnb, which at the end the business of Airbnb already existed, but the execution, the look and feel they had was so well done, stunning, that they capture most of the market. Now, and probably Booking.com, it's also another good example of a hotel, online travel agency. Started with hotels, but on a super nice execution. So easy to buy, very customer oriented, and really they become super strong. No, so and I think that's one key learning I took from lastminute.com. Really, if you want to succeed, you need to execute well. You need to take care of the return of investment, of your marketing spend, of your customer acquisition. No, that's probably important. The other element that I also learned on lastminute.com, as the volume on the online travel agencies was super high, is that when you have a website, there is really a lot of opportunity to improve conversion rate. No, so I would say that the learnings you have on conversion rate optimization when you started, almost 15 years ago on a high volume traffic website, it really helps you to understand that small changes can make a relevant change in difference on the conversion rate. No, so then of course that the conversion rate optimization experience that I got from lastminute.com, I really applied that across both mango.com and bata.com and any D2C website. No, you really need to master things, because once you master something, you really have opportunities to improve. You can A/B test on an ongoing basis, and that will really make a difference on the conversion rate. And finally, the conversion rate, I always say, it's almost a reflection of the customer happiness and the customer experience. If you convert well, it means that the customers are navigating and are finding the product that they are looking for, and that's really so. Usually, when you convert better, your customer satisfaction increase.
And we come full circle, yeah. So it's always understanding the customer, using data really heavily for that, and then putting them at the center of the experience. Awesome.
Great.
That's been a really insightful conversation so far. I'm going to put you in the spot a bit now with the rapid fire round. So it's 6 questions. Um, you can answer with the first word or first phrase that comes to your mind. Just want to get more insight into how you see the world, how you think, and maybe some funny answers as well.
Uh-huh.
All right,
That's
ready when you are? Let's go. What's your favorite pair of shoes?
Bata.
But a specific model?
To be honest, I like the nautics. I like call it
Mhm.
nautics. I don't know. Yeah, I like the nautics because I can use it both formally and informally way. So they're very, yeah, I can use it on different occasions, and I found it also very durable. Yeah, very very comfortable. Yeah, nautics. I like it very much.
Awesome. Need to check that one out. One book that changed your mind.
No, there is to be honest, I love reading. Maybe 0 to 1. It's a book
Mhm.
that talks about building startups almost from scratch and really making things happen. No, I really believe. I think Bata we are very privileged because our founder was super entrepreneur, and this entrepreneurship vision was spread across the organization, and this is still here in really deep inside or every single of the employees that we are part of Bata, no? And I really like this approach. And 0 to 1, yeah, it's a book that talks about how we build things from zero to the top, no? And I think that's also the mindset that helps us to evolve as a business.
And take it from 1 to 10 now, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
One failure that you learned the most from.
One failure I love the most. Well, to be honest, I mean, I can tell you a secret. Many years ago, I was a bit skeptical about the applications, the power of apps. Uh,
Mhm.
and the reality changed my mind because it's true that the most loyal customers like to download your app, and really you can generate a huge more engagement and a huge amount of money from it.
I'm smiling because my next question was going to be what the last app you downloaded was.
The last app, to be honest, I think it was the weather because
Okay.
weather is so bad that I try to download a very good, weather forecast app so I can plan my weekend ahead.
Who would you like to hear from on the retail spotlight? Someone in retail that you'd love to hear more from?
I think there is a lot of people we can learn about, because I think everybody working in this field give different opinions, different point of sale. There is many people that out there that can bring value. So
If you think of someone afterwards, drop me a note and we'll try to get them on the show for sure.
okay, we'll do. We'll do, yeah.
And then for the last question, to end on a very positive note, a good cause or charity that you believe in and would like to support more.
I'm also proud to say that at Bata, we have a deep involvement with the communities we serve.
Mhm.
And as part of our, Bata ongoing business, once per day, it is the charity day that it's not mandatory, but always really highly recommended by the organization, by the CEO, to really make sure that we also give something back. No, in
Mhm.
fact, I can tell you that at Bata we have a principle which is with the 3P principles, that we take care about profit, of course, but we try to take care also about planet and people. No, when we talk about planet, we talk, of course, and being sustainable in for the future. And when we talk about people, we talk about employees, we talk about stakeholders, but we also take care a lot of the communities where we operate. And I think it's very rewarding that at Bata we really take it very seriously. So, and there is what we call the Founders Day, that once per year, every single employee of the BAT organization all over the world spend almost his full day helping the communities where we operate. We have a school in India that we support. There is also plenty of initiatives in Latin America, in Africa, in the APAC countries. I found it super rewarding because giving back your time, your knowledge to the people that really are really eager to take it, and I think that's also something that we are very proud.
Awesome. And today you've been also giving to the retail community by sharing a lot of valuable insights. I think what I liked throughout our conversation was how you always start with putting the customer in the center of things. This is actually also why we call the show the Retail Spotlight, because we think the customer needs to be in the spotlight when it comes to retail and brand interactions. But so many more insights that you shared on the way. So I think that's also a great way to give back to the community, give back to those early in their retail journey and those looking to learn and grow. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a huge pleasure speaking to you. And I'm looking forward to my next visit to a Bata store, and keeping track of all these new initiatives you're working on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here, Mitul, and thank you for the invitation.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Retail Spotlight. Tell us how you found it, whether you're in the retail industry and want us to dive deeper into certain topics or invite certain guests, or if you're a passionate shopper enjoying a behind-the-scenes look, we want to hear from you. Hit us up with your comments, likes, and feedback. And if you know someone who loved this episode, please share it with them. Lastly, if you want to stay informed when we go next live with the next episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button. See you next time.